Welcome back. The next game we have Hong Kong versus Malaysia.
So give me a sec. Let me go in.
Okay. So
Give me a safe, please. Safe. Give me safe.
Malaysia kicking off. Malaysia kicking off to Hong Kong. Hong Kong receiving. This will be a crack of a game, eh, Aaron?
It is, and I'm really looking forward to this game. We've got two good teams here. Both of them, Hong Kong, coming off with a good win in their first game. And that's a great kick. A lot of hang time. And a slight knock on by the Malaysian team, but it's revolved in the Hong Kong getting a scrum here. And you can see, it'll be interesting to see if teams start using the wind now here, David. But a wind. We haven't seen too much kicking, which has been pleasing. But it'll be interesting to see if maybe teams look to capitalise on the win.
Maybe in the back end of the game where players start getting fatigued.
That
was a good skip ball. Good run, good offload.
And it's number 4. Good running, good interchange of passing. And
forward
a
pass.
Slight knock on. And we're seeing a slight knock on here. It's going to be for a little scrum for Malaysia. Slight knock on by Hong Kong. And
Who's on now?
it's going to be see the strike moves that Malaysia are going to be playing, and the Malaysian player looks to beat a couple of defenders, taking the ball out wide, and it's a great start up by the Malaysian team to get the ball out. And we've seen already that the Hong Kong side have applied good defensive pressure, but probably not supporting coming in from the side. The referee's awarded, and the Malaysian team are not mucking around here. They're straight into the attack, taking the ball in, quick to recycle the ball. Ball is out, but referee saying the tackler's not rolling away. So that's a penalty, but it gives me an opportunity to welcome into the commentary box Loti Rakabula and Bulavanaka. Good to see you, my brother.
Yeah, good.
That's it. Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, and what have you made of the rugby so far?
Oh, I'm really impressed. Especially after I haven't seen this for about 2 years. To see the standard being, the level still high. It's very promising, and as you can see, it's pretty tight out there.
Yeah, that's great, and it's also not only the men's side but the women's teams, the development of those developing countries, and the sevens game as a whole growing.
Of course, and especially the skill sets, really stands out for me, and how they're playing the game too. Some really good sevens.
Yeah. So, Lottie, can you just explain to yourself what are you doing in the UAE?
Yeah,
you're over here. Are you going to be playing some rugby for the Dubai Sevens, or?
I'll be doing some work off the field,
okay.
And just doing a bit of promo work. So yeah, looking forward to that, and I'm sure all the players are also looking forward to it.
Oh, awesome, Lottie. And we see the Malaysian side moving the ball into space, the bounce pass, and inside move taken on the defensive side. And the Malaysian team are good at recycling balls, so good around the ruck, asking questions of the Hong Kong defensive side, and going back the blind side, and going for the chip and chase. Hong Kong not playing with a sweeper, and the ball has been left available, and let's see what Hong Kong can do now on the turnover ball. There's a big passage of play here. Players are working under fatigue. And Hong Kong are looking to go into attack, moving the ball from side to side. The great passage of play. Teams under fatigue. There's surely a lot of one-on-one opportunities. And great discipline, both sides been able to show their shape in attack and defence. And good covering tackle, and it's going to award play the side player coming in from the side. And so are you going to be involved with the old Fijian team to become Dubba Dubby next Friday?
Well, I was supposed to, but I'm here with Thailand. and taking them for this tournament, Thailand women's team.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, I got an invite to be involved in the tournament next week, but I'll head back to Thailand after this
Oh,
tournament. Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And are the Thailand women's team going to be involved in the Dubai Sevens?
No. We're heading back to Thailand.
Yeah.
This is our the main tournament.
Yeah.
So go back and prepare and look forward to a big one next year, which is the Asian game.
Oh, awesome. And the Malaysia throwing the ball in, getting the ball out into the midfield, and their playmaker looks to drift across the field, bringing the centre back inside. And Hong Kong showing good defensive work around the breakdown, slowing the ball down, keeping the defenders up on their feet. And there's again a good defensive line. Hong Kong once again looking to compete around the breakdown and just allowing the Malaysian side just to kick. And they've put the ball straight into open spacing. Plenty of speed and pace out wide. 1-on-1, they're hard to beat, but also got supporting players nice and close, which enables them to recycle the ball and go out to their big, strong backs. And the pass is always out in front. And stick inside the field, showing good composure and good wrapping around. It's good to play, good to see. And good defence as well. And the referee awarded not the tackle, not rolling away. And Hong Kong are quick to bounce, looking to strike at any opportunities and brushing away the Malaysian defender and scoring a well-deserved try. And that was a great passage of play, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm really impressed with the defense from Malaysia, and you can see the attack is the defense is just as good as the attack, and it was just a matter of time, you know, and Hong Kong broke that because just being patient and looking after their ball. I think they were a little bit guilty earlier on, losing the ball too early. So that one they built some phases, put some really good plays on the edge, which really stretched the defense of the Malaysian team. So there was a really good seventh try.
And tell me now, with the Thailand program, how many times would the Thailand national team train per week?
We've been very, very fortunate that we were given the opportunity to go and train outside of Bangkok, because in Bangkok they've got a lockdown. So our sponsors and our committee were really, really good with our president's support to go out and let us have a camp outside of Bangkok.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good to see for the community getting behind the Thailand women's rugby team, and Hong Kong are back straight into it. We've grown a beautiful kick-off receive, applying pressure into the Malaysian team, and they move the ball from left to right and getting the ball out to their speedsters, and always looking to beat that first tackle, keeping the ball alive, looking to run in those hard holes in the inside ball, and it's a good passage of play for the Hong Kong side. And I guess now, Lottie, with the modern game from when you last finished, what do you think are the biggest difference now, what teams are looking to do, especially in attack? What are teams looking to do?
Oh, it's just being physical and really have that just to be patient and really look after your ball. And similar to 15s nowadays, it's just grinding it away, trying to turn the pressure into points. Before used to, just run around and the gaps will open up. But now, defensive team have come up with lots of system, and also the fitness level has gone up to counter those. So now it's just a matter of getting that technical work in the breakdown. As you can see in the Olympics, whoever dominate that breakdown pretty much win the game. So and that's what just shows there what Hong Kong did.
Yeah, that's great. And you got the Thailand national side, but underneath the Thailand national team, the community game, have you seen the amount of kids playing the game? Was there big demand or big growth within the Thailand rugby
For sure,
community?
for sure. It's even now on our way here, there's a lot of followers back in Thailand, and the number of kids all over the province, it's never been done before, to see them really, jumping in there and wanting to try the game. And we've selected half of this team. This is their first tournament.
Oh, wow.
Our winger, this is her first tournament, and she came from an athletic background.
Oh, cool.
So now her friends watching it back home are really, really excited. So they want to try rugby. So that is very, very promising over in Thailand.
Yeah. And I see there's been some changes and movement within the Fijian national team as well.
Yeah. Well, I guess that it's going to be tough for the next coach. That's going to take the job, because you've got two coaches that won gold medals, in Rio and in Tokyo. So it's going to be a big challenge. But in Fiji, they've got depth. They can put 3 teams into a World Series, and I'm sure 2 will be in the semi-finals. So it's good in Fiji. So it's a dream for coach, to go there and see the amount of talent they have.
Yeah.
But definitely happy with what I'm seeing so far. With teams in Asia. So like I said, some really, really good sevens, and the skills has been very, very impressive.
Yeah, I agree. And have you guys had an opportunity to go out and explore? You've been to Dubai quite a few times, but have you had an opportunity as the team to go and explore Expo or any of the sites in Dubai?
We would love to, but I'm afraid with the COVID situation, everything has been restricted.
Yeah, that's true.
But we in Dubai can't complain, We're just happy to be here and play, just like every other coaches I've spoke to.
Yeah.
They're just happy to get out on the field and play.
It's so exciting. We're welcome back to the second half, where Malaysia are looking to apply pressure into the Hong Kong defensive side. And unfortunately, Malaysia make a small break, but I'm very lucky to be joined by Lotte Rakuna, and he is with the Thailand women's national tie, and it's good to see a lot of the ex-players coming back to the game and getting involved with coaching. And how have you adapted now from being a player and transitioning into the coaching world?
Oh, I used to think it's easy, being a coach, but it's actually harder than what I, looked at it during playing days. But now I'm loving it. I have to control a bit of motion on the sideline, because now you can't really jump on the field and do what you used to do. So it's very exciting. I'm really happy to see the players grow, not just as a rugby players, but also as a person, and to see them, especially in Thailand with the female, and to actually stand up and really take ownership of stuff that they want to do. So that is the most rewarding things for me.
Yeah, and I guess the Thailand players will be very lucky and very fortunate to have you on board, and they'll be looking to pick your brain. But we talk about the importance of having a good coach, and you as a player, who had the big influence on yourself, or who did you learn from as a coach? Who do you think was one of your better coaches you've ever coached to?
I was very fortunate to when I first arrived in the New Zealand setup, I still had Eric Rush still involved, and I remember my first tournament, which was in Wellington 2006, and then we went on to in Melbourne for the Commonwealth Games. And I broke my hand in the final against England, and he just ran in and he said, "Harden up." And I get out there, it's only a little scratch. And then we went through and went to the hospital and got a scan. Then he came and apologized, and he said, "Oh, that's just the way I used to do things when I used to play." So he was the biggest influence in my playing days, and also growing up. And Gordon Teachings, couldn't ask for a better coach. He coached me for about 10 years in the New Zealand setup. So, yeah.
And we've just seen Hong Kong now come off with a little mistake that Malaysia has made. And Hong Kong put himself in a strong and powerful position, playing their second game. And Malaysia haven't had much of an opportunity, but it's great to see the standard of rugby so far. And Lotte, where's home for you now? Is Fiji your home, New Zealand your home? I guess Thailand's your sort of...
Yeah. Adopted home.
Adopted home, but where would you call?
In New Zealand. I live in Wellington.
Oh, Wellington.
Family, my mum and my brothers and dad in Wellington. So been there for a long time. I moved over when I was young.
Oh, cool.
So they don't like me much in Fiji. So I represented New Zealand for a number of years. So every time in Hong Kong or something, you book a ticket to go to Fiji, we're heading into a tournament. We make sure we win that tournament so we can get some bit of free stuff in Fiji, for holiday.
Oh, great to see you adapted well in New Zealand, and I'm sure the New Zealand community is happy to have you on board. But we're just coming back to the Asia Rugby Sevens, and we've seen some fantastic rugby so far. And unfortunately, the Malaysian players have not been able to support their body weight around the breakdown. Hong Kong have looked very strong and very powerful. And any teams, I guess there's 8 teams. Is there any teams that has really improved a hell of a lot, sort of, in your sort of guidance, or have you seen in terms of the growth of teams in the last couple of years?
Korea really stood out for me in this tournament. You know, they build on from what they left off at the Tokyo Olympic, and I watched them earlier on. So wasn't only some good tries, but the pace, you know, the speed of those recycle of those balls was pretty impressive. Is what you see in the World Series, you know. So Japan has got a young team, same with Hong Kong and Malaysia. So I think Hong Kong is running away with it now. With I guess with the experience counts when it comes to these crunch times, you know.
Yeah. Good interchange passing, and they look like going to be a very strong side and be one of the teams that's going to compete with the likes of Japan and China and South Korea and also Hong Kong, which makes only unfortunately 2 teams will go through from the Asia Rugby Sevens, and they'll be fighting, hoping to qualify for the Rugby World Cup next year in South Africa. And it's such a great opportunity to see 8 teams from the men, 8 teams from the women playing high quality rugby. They're playing in a good spirit of the game and seeing good rugby on point. And we're at Sports City today, Dubai Sports City, and some good local supporters coming in for our next game, which is the UAE team up against Sri Lanka. And so what's your next movements after this tournament? Where are you guys going? Do you go back to Thailand, is it? Preparing for camp? Or?
Yep, we go back home and they'll get a couple of weeks off season. Yeah. But we've got our domestic tournament coming up next month, so all these players will be shifted back to their clubs and universities. So look forward to that, and I also look forward to look at some new talent.
Nice.
Yeah, to look at some new talents. And
what's it like living in Thailand?
I actually struggled on my first year because I didn't really know anyone, but then now get to know the culture. And with the people that I work with, it's almost, you know, I don't really miss my family back in New Zealand, because the culture in Thailand is very, very tight, just like back in Fiji. They look after each other and respectful for the elders. So that's why I'm settled in Thailand and quite happy there. And the support from our presidents and the committee, I couldn't ask for anything better. Yeah, it's been good.
And we've seen quite a few New Zealand coaches being spread across the Asian, with Brad Mika and Malaysia. Just looking through the coaches, there's good sell-off, good international coaches having good influence into the Asian rugby community, and I've been very impressed of the style and state of rugby. So it's good to see that countries are invested into good quality coaching players to give back and give pass down their knowledge and expertise. And
yeah, definitely, and it's the only way forward around this part of the world. You know, you actually need them to come over this side, because the experience that they've got and all the little tips that you can get out from them, those things you can't really get it at universities, you know, or sitting in the classroom. You know, some of those stuff you can't really teach. And it comes on, and most of those boys I know, they're coaching around this side. Brad Mika and Rodney Soyala did it as well in Sri Lanka. They did it with massive passion. So a lot of secrets that what goes on when we all used to play usually come out when things is not going too well, and it does come out, which is good for teams around this part of the world.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Lottie. And we see Hong Kong bouncing onto the ball and are so good around the breakdown. They've been able to transfer defense into attack, and we see it's full time here in the game between Hong Kong and Malaysia, and Hong Kong walking away with that. And we'd like to say thank you to Lottie for coming on board today, and thank you to Taiwan, all the best for the Thailand.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me, and also thank you for having us, Thailand, in this tournament.
Cheers.
Pula Vinaka. And Sawasdee Cup.
Cheers, brother.
Thank you.